What's up, everybody? I'm coming from Hoboken. Forgot to turn my GoPro on when I entered the tunnel, but everything's on now. Back on Natty Patty. Nelly. The KLR. I call her Patty or whatever, but she's a big girl. And in the Honda, I call her Kathy. She's a slim, trim girl. KLR's a beefy, big bone girl. Not fat, but big bone. Kind of like a girl that you met that has big, giant bones. She's like big hands, big feet, but not fat, but really tall and big bone. Well, that's what a KLR is like. Big steel frame, everything. But you know what? Now that today is the first day that I feel like I'm getting used to the bike again after riding on that Yamaha XT225 in Manila. It takes a while to get used to something like this. You know, it takes a couple of days. I'm fine now. I feel confident. I'm driving fine on this. But the first day on it was scary. I mean, it's just very difficult to get acclimated with a big bike like this after riding on that little Yamaha XT225, which is really nice in Manila. It's so light and easy to manhandle that I don't think I would want something like this in Manila. Matter of fact, I know I wouldn't. It'd be too big. I mean, it would just be a hassle getting around everywhere on it. And I think that's really what the problem is in really crowded Asian cities. I don't think that's probably why Kawasaki doesn't market the same bikes that they do in US and Asia, because it just doesn't make sense. So what I've seen happen in Philippines and Manila is that 650 big bikes, they're for wealthy people. They have to import them. They'll pay 180% tax on it. And you know, it's a whole different ball game. It's not a joke. I mean, you need some serious money to be able to bring and some serious pull to bring in a bike into Philippines. You know, fully imported. It's not a simple task at all, and not for the faint of heart. You know, like, you really have to have some balls, and you got to have money, and you got to have some pull. Because if you try to bring in a bike into Philippines and you don't have the right pull, even the money's not going to help you later on when you try to register it, you know. So it's all either that, or you go to a dealership and you just tell them, I want you to handle the whole process and give me a figure of what it's going to cost me to bring the bike into Philippines. You just sell it to me, you know, as though it were on the soil in Manila. You know, that's what people are doing, you know. You can do that if you want to. You just pay one set price for the whatever the cost would be, you know. It's tempting, but the more that you think about it, I would not want a bike like this. This would be too much bike for me over there. I wouldn't mind a Honda XR. That would be a decent bike for Manila. XR 650L, perfect in Manila. Just enough balls to make you have some fun, and you get around that the highway or freeway restriction. You can't take the toll roads or any freeways in Manila without 400 cc's or higher, and it's a very strict requirement. Like, it's no joke. Like, it's serious, real deal shit. Like, you've got to have the 400 cc's or higher to get on the expressway, and they strictly enforce it. And you know, Japan doesn't have anything to do with that. They don't they don't know what bikes, they don't even, I'm sure they know about that restriction, but they don't actually deal with it, in their bike sales, Because if they did, they would market certain bikes in that range. They would build a bike that, because they have the CRF 300L, which is a beautiful bike for Philippines. It's a perfect machine, but the problem is because of the freeway restriction. I mean, you got 6 gears, you can easily drive freeway speeds and do the work of a freeway, but the problem is you're not allowed on the freeway. So that's the deal with that. But definitely, in my little bit of time being in Manila on my XT, I realized why I have that bike in Manila. It's very nimble, very light. We can just basically grab it and move it. My wife I can pick it up myself, It's very, very good for Manila. You cannot, a KLR is a steel frame heavy bike. It's a big bike, and I would venture to say it's too big for Manila. The guy in my building has a Versus 650 there, all adventured out, and I see he doesn't use it to drive around local stuff, because it's just useless to go around Manila. You gotta squeak on the side of the road. It's an Asian city, so driving on the side of the road to squeak through traffic is par for the course, and that's not something you do on a Versus 650 with saddlebags. But you know what? For New York City, this is a good bike. It's a bit chunky, a bit heavy, but it gets around pretty good in the city. And when you do have to jump on the highway, it's not a wimpy bike. It's got the balls to get on the highway. Because when you're on the highway in New York, you need to be able to show some presence. And this bike does that. So like you said, you can't have everything in the world. Nothing's perfect, but this bike does the job pretty well in New York City. I wouldn't want to be on that, for example, but it's not bad to zip around the city on a little scooter, a little 50cc. You don't have to deal with registration, insurance, all that stuff, but you can't drive it out of state. Like I just came from Hoboken. You're not gonna go through the Holland Tunnel on a 50cc scooter. They'll stop you. When the police are there, the Port Authority police that are sitting in the car there at the entrance of the tunnel. That's what they're there for people on bicycles and small cc engines trying to get into the tunnel. You gotta have a plate if you're gonna get in the tunnel. That's a requirement, And I often cross state lines, so 50cc bike is out of the question for me. And then also I go to all the different boroughs, so for me to drive a 50cc scooter would be just insanity, And those are very easily, thefted, because you just pick that up. They probably get stolen all the time. If they were nicer, people would steal more of them, but they're not that nice, so people don't really want them. Oh yeah, this is the KLR is decent when you lock it up, because basically you lock it to a post. It's a big bike. It's a stationary object for all intents and purposes. For someone to try to manhandle this thing around, you're gonna need some serious manpower. This bike is not for the faint of heart to be moving around. And if it does happen to fall on something or fall on you, it's not a joke. I mean, I don't care how strong you are. If this thing fell on you, were leaning down trying to cut a chain or something or whatever,